Nou, dag allemaal. We gaan vandaag een heerlijke Hollandse maaltijd maken. Namelijk met krieltjes, heerlijke lupineburgers en een champignonsaus erbij met knapperige geblancheerde groenten.
That sounds really, really good.
Nice.
Well, and we have today a very special person with us because normally he's on the other side of the video, just taking the videos because he's our director from videos and photos and everything. But of course, the team of Vegan today is a team of people who want to create a better world. It's a team of activists, and yeah, I mean, it's wonderful that he's behind the camera, but I also want to hear your story. So Bob, welcome to this side of the camera.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's different definitely to be over here. I'm still checking lights out of the corner of my eye. Oh yeah, everything's good.
I was worried about that. You kind of stopped it, yeah. So, but tell us, you have done a lot of things for activism with your camera and without your camera. So let's start one thing at a time. What have you done? You want to create a better world, of course, of all of us here in our team. What have you done for other people, for the planet? Start with your actions and your things. You're coming from the States, and I think that there started your passion for activism.
Activism, yeah, I think so. I think even as a young child, I kind of understood empathy and had feelings for other people, other living beings. We were a foster family, so we had a whole army of children come through the house, and I kind of got a feeling for just where they were coming from and what they were going through.
With problems or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
They got it lost. In your family.
Right. So it was really my mother and father that kind of set me up for kind of being open and big-hearted. So I just followed that tradition.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you got the opportunity there in your original country to do also things for other people when you grew up, I guess.
Yeah, I've always been active. Just as a short example, I'd have Thanksgiving dinner, traditional Thanksgiving dinner with the family.
American, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would just go to a church and help serve food to people that were in need.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was kind of a nice balance because I was super fortunate. We had plenty of food on the table, and then other folks that didn't have anything. So,
that probably gives you a very wonderful feeling in return.
It does, and both of you from your activism that, sometimes the greatest reward is somebody just hold your hand, look in your eyes, and say, God bless you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, and that
and you're like, you're just like, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And well, behind your camera, you're doing also a lot of documentaries about Stop with Weapons, Stop with War. I have been there with you. We're having things about animals for laboratoriums, for monkeys in Rijswijk. But you have been doing also a very special documentary that even won a big prize. Tell us about it.
Oh, sure. So I produced and directed a short documentary shot in North Dakota at Standing Rock Indian Reservation. Yeah.
Tell us about the problem there. I mean,
What is the title?
The title, Standing with Standing Rock.
Okay.
Yeah. So the issue was, if you're not familiar with it, is that American oil companies, but I guess internationally, they want to keep their profits high and sell as much oil as they can before the world kind of shuts them down. So this is kind of the dying gasp of the fossil fuel industry. So they're taking the dirtiest oil and running it through a pipeline to refineries and selling it to China. To China and overseas. So what they're doing is they're kind of railroading permits and access through, north and south through America to those refineries. And so what they're doing is claiming eminent domain, that this is for the public good.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take your house or take your farm. In this case, take your Indian reservation. We're going to run a pipeline through it.
I mean,
yeah. And the local governments are so corrupt that they support it.
Yeah.
And finally, Native Americans and many other people just said no. This.
Of course, they want to protect.
We're going to take a stand. Yeah, and
exactly.
they went through all the proper channels, but those didn't work. So in the end, you put your bodies on the line. And unfortunately, the oil companies and their mercenaries just got even more violent.
Oh, okay.
So I was following this on social media, and decided yeah, that's someplace I really need to go and just take
to
my
be there
camera.
with the people and
Yeah.
and getting your camera the feeling and the problem and the solution and the
Yeah, and I was going to for whatever they needed me for.
Yeah.
If I needed to cook, if I needed to clean the toilets or feed the horses,
Yeah.
but I'm also going to have my camera by my side.
Yes.
And
yes.
turns out I met with the media folks and they gave me permission to shoot in camp.
But it must be also a hard experience. I mean, was even dangerous, I guess,
Yeah.
because you're
yeah.
talking about the word getting violent. So, what do you mean with getting violent?
Well, much of the police force in the United States is getting militarized because America has so many wars going on across the globe that they have lots of military equipment that need to either get rid of or keep cycling through for profits. So they give or make it very cheap for police departments to have military equipment. And so if there's civil unrest, they roll out these armored cars and snipers and missile launchers and like against grandmothers holding sage
Yeah, exactly.
praying.
That's what I mean. It's not about violent people with guns. It's like
Right.
what you say, grandmothers or people saying, "I want to protect my place."
Right. So as a filmmaker, that attracts me in the sense that it's so clear, you know, who's on the right side of history and who's not.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to
You want to bring
document
awareness.
that.
Yeah.
Right. And I stayed in camp for a week in a tent and, you know, just lived that lifestyle. And at first I felt a little bit guilty, like I was kind of taking advantage of the situation, these people, to make my movie. But what I gradually learned was I was given a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah.
So people had been there for months in these tents, and I came by with the camera, and they could finally tell their story.
Yeah.
I'd ask, okay, why are you here? Where were you when you heard the call? What's it like on the front lines?
Yeah.
And they were able to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
To spread it to the world, of course,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you don't tell us, probably some people doesn't even know what is going on there, or you can hear it in the news, but it's just a little short line. But you have been there, living minute by minute with these people who want
Yeah.
to do something.
Yeah. And I interviewed about 30 people in camp. As I mentioned, why are you here? What's going on? What's at stake? And it was, really wonderful and really eye-opening. Yeah.
So let me update on
Yes.
the
Yes.
cooking process.
Yeah, and also, can we help you with something? Because we're
Uh,
here talking
yeah.
and talking. Like,
Okay, yeah, I can give you something to do.
Yeah.
First, I cut the onion and the garlic, and now I fried it in sunseed oil, and then I added the garlic and the laurier, the leaves. I don't know the name.
Yeah.
And now I dissolve a broth piece, and I added there so it can simmer for a long time, so the taste of the leaves go in the sauce. And later on I will add the mushrooms, and this will be the mushroom sauce with the whole dish.
So this is part of the sauce.
The sauce I start first because then it can get the rich taste. So
Okay, wonderful.
for you,
Can I,
that's
can
good
I ask
already.
a question?
yeah.
Why the sunflower oil? What's the special properties? Why did you choose that?
Well, it's tasteless, so
Okay.
I want to have the full taste of the mushrooms and the vegetable broth.
Okay.
So that's why, and also the taste of the spicy leaf.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So olive oil would be a little too overpowering.
the olive oil I use with the potatoes and the burgers.
Okay.
So.
Okay, to give kind of little taste
Yeah.
Little flavor,
already.
yeah.
Flavor.
So what you can do is make it smaller roses. Do you say in English? In Dutch we say roosje.
Roosje.
That's not roast, it's like
Okay.
a rose.
So
How do you call it in English?
Broccoli. Can you cut the
Can
broccoli?
you cut the broccoli smaller?
Yeah, we're not so sophisticated in America.
so we are just gonna use this for this dish. That this
Okay.
is enough. So
Okay, great.
Do
And
you
this
cook
is
at
about
home normally?
yeah,
Okay.
and this is about the right size. These kind of Okay.
that's fine.
And you're also vegan,
Yeah.
of course. But going back to the documentary, the documentary has been shown in different festivals in the world,
Yeah.
and you won the prize, the first prize with it.
Yeah. We
Tell us
won
about
in Sweden. We won Best International Documentary, and that was really wonderful because it was on TV and with awards presentations, and of course, not my wildest dreams.
Wow.
But what was really wonderful first was to have a little bit of a platform to share the movie and talk about my experiences.
Yeah.
But also, I was really impressed with Europeans' knowledge of what was happening with the pipeline. Because we had a question and answer session after the film or the screening, and they asked really sophisticated questions about the issues.
Okay, so they really knew.
So they were, they were
Were
following
aware.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great, and my film helped, contribute to that.
Yeah, yeah. Of
So it
course,
was really
it's not
nice.
only about that. Of course, everybody wants to win the prize. With it's like a
yeah.
crown of your work, but maybe the more even crowner is that you can spread it.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
tell what is
absolutely.
going on there, and that is the meaning. So you
Well,
got that.
as I mentioned, it's about giving voice to the voiceless.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some young man who's in camp watering the horses can tell the camera why he's there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's wonderful for me as a
Yeah.
filmmaker.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know the problem there still is going on. for a
Sure,
while.
sure.
But for example, Netherlands was involved in that problem because some Netherlands banks were putting money, investing in
ING,
this. Yeah, exactly. And we were also together in action against ING. And well, they listened to us, and ING say, okay, we're going to put our hands out of this terrible thing.
So you got a good result. Yeah.
Yes, we got it.
Yeah.
So he with his camera, we with his actions, everybody together, you really can make a difference.
And what's that? There's a phrase that's if you feel like you don't make a difference, try spending the night with a mosquito.
Exactly.
Because every little voice,
Yes.
every little, the banks are like, oh, stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have this facade of being wonderful and community oriented, and no. So they listen,
Yeah,
and sometimes
exactly.
they take action. Sometimes they kind of do these kind of back end deals, but
Sometimes there's
we can
one
only do
time,
what we can
sometimes
do.
it's
Yeah.
quicker, but
Yeah.
it happens when you keep on going for something and you really are motivated, and there are a lot of people asking for that. It's our world, it's our planet, it's our time, it's our moment. So
Can I show you
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
And you can try out if you like. So the broccoli later on will be blanched. I will show you later how it's done. And also we mix it with the carrots, but usually maybe people cut it like really boring with
That's the way I do it.
the main
Yeah.
techniques is what people use is this. And you can, but
cubes.
it
That's
also
the boring
tastes like
part.
carrot, but
yeah,
if you
on
want to do
that.
something else, you can cut it in halves like this, and then make long half moons. You see,
Nice. Yeah.
and that's already a big difference. So
Yeah.
if you like, you can
Yeah.
try it out.
You want
on
to do
this
it, or
one.
should I?
Yeah, you go for it. You go for it. I will try that at home.
I don't have the same technique that you do, but
Almost.
I've been watching.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you get it then.
Yeah, but he's got that flow. I've seen you with guests cutting and talking, and I'm like, oh.
That's too much for us.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Don't
I'm
try
talking
it
about.
at home.
And trusting your hands. Well,
Mhm.
actually, when you are used to keep this together, you
Yeah.
can actually look the other side.
Yeah, because
I
you're,
won't
you're
tell to
protected.
people at home
I'll
because
try this at home.
Like,
we
yeah,
want to
we
keep
go
it
with that.
vegan. So,
Yeah, no blood here.
thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
And you're gonna put that on the sauce now?
No. I will show you what is blanching. So, blanching is cooking in water with a bit of salt. So salt keeps all the nutrients inside of the veggies.
Okay.
So when it's is cooking, I add the salt, and then it's dissolved right away. And then you can add the veggies, and it just depends on do you want it really soft or you want it crispy. And usually for kids, it's better to do it a bit more crispy, because then they say, "Oh, I don't want those
And
veggies."
so-
But when they are fresh and crispy, they usually
They
like it.
more.
So
Okay.
yeah. And so later
it's-
on I will fry the potatoes, and then that's the end almost.
But it's not like boiling. It's not like throwing it on water and let it boil. It's something kind of different technique.
Yeah, blanching, right?
Blanching is
It's
not
boiling, yeah.
is
Boiling with
blanching?
salt.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, so it's the same but shorter kind.
But it's it's just a
Well, yeah, you
Like
can boil it how long you want, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just if you want to have it crispy. Usually kids like that more than like
like
very soft.
limp and
yeah, kind of puree already.
It's just for families who want to cook for the whole family. So then try it a bit shorter, to cook it a bit shorter, and then kids will also love the meal. So
Wow.
Nice.
Well, going back to your work as filmmaker, apart from the activism that you're doing a lot, you also made your dream come true about your own film.
Right.
You have a vision, you have a kind of a dream, it's like here from you, and then come the motivation to do special film. It's also kind of activism, because what I know about it is that it's also something about to create a better world. But tell it in your words.
Sure. I guess I was kind of in between projects and waiting for divine inspiration, and I got it in the form of a dream, as you mentioned. And it was about a 100-meter woman stepping over forests. She had a giant blonde afro and butterflies flying around her head and animals running up and down her torso. And I was like, this is mind-blowing. I wasn't on any kind of drugs or anything, but instinctually I knew it was Mother Nature. And she said, you know, you got to do something, right, to contribute. So I have some friends who are singer-songwriters in Amsterdam, and I told them about the dream, of course, and I gave them kind of an outline of a story and asked them to write a song. And so we were going to build the movie around that song in the form of a musical. And let's see if I can kind of distill it down. So the larger story is it's about a prostitute in Amsterdam in the red light district who finds her voice and discovers that her true identity is Mother Nature. So around that is a framing story of these three people, the prostitute, a butcher, and an entrepreneur, who represent kind of different characteristics of the human experience. Yeah, so the butcher is really materialistic, loves money. The entrepreneur has good intentions, but she's a phony. And then, of course, the prostitute is a bit lost. She's kind of behind glass, and she's being exploited by men. So
like Earth.
Yeah, exactly. So as a filmmaker, we're always looking for iconic images and iconic stories that can represent kind of bigger picture things. Yeah. So we filmed, several years, and it's finally finished and buttoned up and sent to the festivals.
Wow. What is the name of the film?
Pale Blue Dot.
Why Pale Blue Dot? What do you mean with Pale Blue Dot?
Yeah. The woman who wrote the title song, Pale Blue Dot, Meryl Moistra, loved the idea, and she was a fan of Carl Sagan, an American scientist who was involved in the Voyager 1 project in the 70s, where they sent a satellite out into space, and right before it left our solar system, he said, turn it around and take a shot of Earth. They turned this satellite around, and we see our little planet in the vastness of space as a pale blue dot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was kind of the source of her inspiration for writing the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also we can see how small we are. We make such a difficulty with everything, and we think that the problems are so big, and when you look in the complete thing, it's like
Well, think about the mosquito, right?
Yeah.
It's tiny, and insignificant, but it makes a difference. It changes things.
Yeah, exactly. And our planet is also very small, but if we have a bigger vibration, we can also make it change. Probably in the whole universe.
Right.
But wow, sounds like a beautiful. You want to tell us something?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
In between, there's happening a lot here. So
Yeah. Of course, shows.
You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, what we are doing. So, I added the mushrooms. So this is simmering for like 10 minutes or so, and I dissolved some maizena with a little bit of water. Okay. And I will add this so it can thicken like a nice sauce that stays on the potatoes and the burger. So. And
I see a bay leaf in there, or two.
Oh, bay leaves. That was the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
Oh, that is the real?
bay leaf and
Bay leaf,
laurel.
the laurel for us.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
But you don't eat those. You take them out.
you
Yeah,
take them
because
out.
some.
They're real hard.
Yeah, exactly. They're not tasty at all. So,
You can eat it.
yeah.
So now everything is in the same time, you see. I'm multitasking. But at home you can also fry the potatoes first and then the burgers. So you have only one pan, but I will do it in a separate one. So the water is boiling. I added some salt and this dissolves right away. So I add the carrots. They need a little bit longer than this. So if you want to do it really efficient, you first do this and you add the broccoli, and then hopefully it's all on the same time. It's cooked and then it's ready.
So you can do it together with that, so you know that the time is also good, because you got the same amounts. And
yeah, and it's also quite logical because the carrots are very solid, and this is a bit less solid. So that's how you do it.
And the broccoli gets green, dark green when it's ready,
it's
right?
cooked,
Yeah, when it's cooked. Yeah.
Yeah. So almost ready.
it looks already good. I love potatoes.
I think potatoes are like the perfect food.
Do you find a
Just
lot of
taste-wise.
difference between the food here in Netherlands and the food in your country in America?
Oh yeah, I think so. Certainly there's we're trending toward organic and bio food, but so much of American food is highly processed. Americans are very busy, they work really hard, and they don't have time to cook, so they just get prepared meals and either at a restaurant or at the grocery store, and it loses a lot of nutritional value because it's designed to stay on the shelf for months and months and months.
Wow.
So, we see that in diabetes rates and obesity rates, and it's a shame.
People doesn't think about it. Why do they work so hard if they cannot enjoy even their own health?
Right.
It's a kind of
Well, I think it's also economic issue that healthy is a little more expensive. So if you're on a budget, you've got to make choices.
So
you have it very easy.
now I put in the broccoli. So let's say 3 minutes for the carrots, and then 3 or 4 more minutes, and then this is ready.
So I'll say the carrots stay about 6 minutes.
In total, yeah.
In total. And the broccoli comes halfway.
So
So we're really looking forward to the mushroom and onion sauté.
Smells
I actually added some pepper. So I'm gonna taste in a while, and then it's almost ready.
And I love that always when you cook, you do it with 2 things at the same time. 2 spoons of soup. I mean, at home I do it with 1, and happy I can do it with 1.
Yeah.
So what is your new project?
Well, there's several projects, stories, interests that I'm developing simultaneously. And generally, I'll develop 3 ideas, and one starts to kind of separate and say, do me next. So I'm still working on it.
You write also your own stories to be filmed, so you're not only filmmaker and director, but you're also the father of the story.
Yeah. Many times I read a lot of scripts, and many times they don't quite translate to my sensibilities. So I think it's better if I just write myself, because I already have the movie playing in my head, and I don't have to explain it to myself.
You know what you want, and then it's easier.
And the filmmaking process can be very organic. So I like to say you make 3 different movies. You write one movie, you film another, and then you edit the third. Hopefully they're related.
Okay.
Not always, but they should be
normally.
close.
Wow. It smells great.
Yeah.
So you can check
the wonder that you're looking for that, and
you can check the broccoli with
Joris, your sauce is gone.
Yeah,
Someone
I
took
don't know where it went. Yeah.
just a few minutes away. So you can check it with a fork if it's the crispiness you want. So this is almost ready.
And an internal question: what is your inspiration with vegan today?
I think it's a logical progression. And I think the key point for me is, you know, I haven't owned a car in years. I ride my bicycle everywhere. I take public transportation.
Very Dutch.
Yeah, yeah. When in Rome. But I think the key factor was that I learned that the animal industry emits far more dangerous methane and things than any automobile transportation.
Yes.
So for me to go vegan twice a week, 3 times a week, 7 days a week, is has a lot more effect in the overall picture than not having an automobile.
Yeah.
And that kind of just
Yeah.
was like, wow, I can just have this
Yeah. And it's
and
delicious.
do
and
great,
it's great and
for the planet. Well, sure, that's a no-brainer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Because
What you say now, you transition, you have to be vegan the whole life,
right, right.
or not even long time, but you transition. So to here, you started with some days, starting to quick meat, and then more and more.
Yeah, I'm eating less and less meat. I think like many people,
Yeah.
I just don't have the taste for it anymore. And I was vegetarian for years and years. So to go vegan is not
Such
so.
a big.
And I think especially nowadays with
I know, so easy.
like Vegan Today and other things, you can find it anywhere. So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just a little effort.
Exactly. There are more and more what we call it vervangers, so things that you can use instead of meat,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
fish, of milk, of cheese, or whatever. So people doesn't have to miss it. And
So
Oh,
we
sorry, go
are
ahead.
ending.
Yeah, yeah.
We're getting to the last stage. So.
Nice.
looks good.
So yeah, you can take out the leaves. You will
Uh-huh.
see on the way when you eat,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
So there's one.
Nice.
There should be 2 more.
Okay.
So in the box you get at home, everything is measured in the right amount. So it's very easy to make it.
That
So
looks really good. This looks like comfort food, right? Potatoes. Yeah, carrots.
Good, healthy, and
yeah.
how long did we make it? I mean, it's so
So the
quick.
20 minutes?
Yeah,
20
20
minutes.
recipe.
So this is it.
Wow, nice.
Looks great.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
It's
smakelijk.
smakelijk.